Now then, if you remember a couple of videos ago, I did a repair on this Henry, pneumatic Henry, and at the time I fixed one of the switches, this one here. So I'm doing a separate video so that people don't have to, or it will get to a greater number of viewers who want to actually fix their switches. So on these pneumatics, you undo those 4 screws, okay, not the middle ones, the outside ones, and the top comes off, and then there's a cover underneath here. Lift all this lot off, and there's a little clippy cover that covers the switches. Hook that off and you can get to the switches. It's a 2-minute job, so don't be frightened of it. And if you want to see it in action, taking this lot apart, I will put a link to the video at the end of this one where I took it apart. Right, so we have the switch. This is the high-low switch, but it's exactly the same as the on-off switch, as in its structure. So let's zoom down. Okay, so we need to take this rocker out, but what's inside here is that is one of the spade connectors there with a contact on the underside, and we have a rocker that is on a pivot. Yeah, that pivot is a contact. Okay, so then you can't see, so I'm just going to remove that pivot now. So then you have, on this switch here, you have 2 little sprung loaded pushers, for the want of a word. Okay, so what happens is when that goes that way, it pushes that down. Because it's sprung loaded, it will push it down and keep the contact apart. Okay, when you do this way, it makes the contact. Okay, now over time these contacts wear, and in some cases, particularly on some of the grid inverters, the contact pressure in the relays is pretty poor, and I fixed a Solar River inverter because of that very issue, and it took 5 minutes once I'd got the cover off. So we're going to take this switch apart. Yeah, so what you do is you've got to get the rocker out. Let's zoom in a bit more. So you've got to put a screwdriver in there and do that. There is a pin. Hopefully you can see that a little green pin. That's part of this rocker. So effectively you need to just ease that out. Okay, there you go. And there is the pivot pins, and there's the sprung loaded pushers. Okay, contact points. No, contact points is the wrong word. Then inside we have this black thing. Okay, they're slightly tapered there, and that's on the underside. And unfortunately the 2 contacts have just fallen out, so I'm just going to put them back in. So I've put them back in, and here are the rockers. So if I push this way, that far end goes up and makes a contact with that there, and I push this side and it breaks the contact. It pushes that down, because you can't guarantee or rely on gravity to do it for you. Okay, so we'll just pop those out. On these rockers there's a little pivot arm sticking out both sides that fits in a groove just in there. So we'll just pop those out. There we go. Now I think we need to inspect these. Can we zoom down enough? That'll have to do. See that track there? A little bit of a silver track. That's where this sprung loaded item piston pushes on that. And there is the contact. And in this case, that contact looks remarkably clean. But I do know this switch wasn't working. I'll just turn it over. Nothing special there. Apart from that is the contact with the pivot. Now can we get this in place? There are the pivots, which are actually an electrical contact, so those must be clean. And if you really wanted to, you could put a very slightest amount of battery terminal grease or just a little bit of Vaseline or something on there after you've made them clean. It will only help just to make sure there's no corrosion build up there. Okay, now while we're here, these are the other contacts. Now if you remember on my example, that piece of wood, the fixed contact was facing down, and there it is there. And to get them out, you have to twist these and then they will push out. And the reason for doing that is so that you can clean or inspect the contacts on the underside of that. So we're just going to zoom out, and then I will get a pair of snipe nose pliers and just twist those spade connectors. Okay, so we're just gripping them like that and twisting it so it's in line, and they have to be dead right. Don't go full gorilla on them, just that one is being particularly awkward. There we go. So just take your time and don't give it total grief. Right, and we're on this side, and now we can pull those out. Doesn't matter which way round they go back in. And let's zoom in. Well, that contact doesn't look bad either. It's surprisingly good actually. So all you need to do is put a bit of wet and dry on those and just clean the surface. I'm starting to feel that the problem with this switch was on here, where this makes contact with these contacts here. It was definitely not working in any way, shape or form. So I'm going to clean everything up and I will get back to you in a minute. So just cleaning those contacts. I mean, if they're burnt as they were on that last one that I did, then you might have to get a file to them. And I'm just cleaning that up there. The contact on that rocker, and then clean that contact up there. Okay, so then the other thing to do is to scrape those. One of these was really quite corroded. Now the next thing that I did was, if you look at this, how am I going to do this? That's not a right angle between, there we go, it's not quite a right angle, so I'm going to bend those, so I'm going to bend that down just slightly. Okay, so I'm going to bend those, and also there we go, on this I'm actually going to bend this bit up slightly so that when it presses on there it really presses that up. Yeah, so we're just going to give it a better chance of working. Remember that we have these sprung loaded pins here, so that will allow for any extra pressure, but we might as well, because it wasn't working, we might as well do all the things that we need to do. And let's see if I can bend this on camera. Yeah, that's bent a bit. You don't need to do it very much, just a little bit. There we go, that's bent up a bit so it will push that contact up more. Now, can I bend this on camera? Yeah, I can, very easily. So I'm just pushing up with my finger here, and it is bending. That's better. Right, we're happy with that lot. So now we need to put these back in there. Now, there's a slight rise there and a square edge. Yeah. So the contacts are on that side. So we put that back where it came from, and this one back where it came from, and then press them down. Okay, right, zoom out a bit, and then we can just twist those. So those are back in situ. Okay, these are bent. I want to put a little bit of contact stuff, lube on that there. Only the smallest amount, and if you haven't got anything like that, just a little bit of Vaseline would probably do. I'm just putting the merest amount on there. I mean, this came out of a Henry vacuum, and you know, it could have been used in damp situations and stuff like that, and then damp got into the switch and corroded that surface. Who can tell what's happened in the past? So now the contact is uppermost. We've bent these slightly. They are fiddly to get in. So don't rush it. Don't get stressed out about it. There we go. And I will put this one back in with the contact facing upwards. No doubt if you had a pair of tweezers, that would be a lot better. Okay, let's just zoom in if we can. That's working. That's working. Okay. Zoom out. Okay, so that's all together. Right, now this piece, the tapered sides go downwards. I'm not quite sure what it's for, but I assume that it's, if this is on its side or something like that, it stops anything falling apart. Now then, where are we? So when the rocker goes that way, it flips the rocker up to the contact. So therefore what we want to do is to get this the right way round. Now this is low and high, but if it was on and off, then on wants to be down like that, which these go this way and press those rockers down which go up. Hopefully that makes sense. And these are designed to just push in. They're designed to be put together, not taken apart. There we go, and it's popped back in. Right, let's just get the multimeter and check that everything is all right. So I've got the multimeter set on continuity, which in this one it's the musical note. But if you don't have a multimeter, you can use a battery and a bulb. That's working. That's working. Switch it off. Not working. Not working. Switch it back on. It's a simple fix. I mean, alright, you can buy one, yeah, and have it delivered, but almost, I mean, basically, if you bought a switch, you've got to take the vacuum cleaner apart to take the switch out and put it back in, so you can ignore that bit. That fix takes as long as it does you to buy another one. Yeah, you've got to search for one, and then do all the business online. Yeah, so that fix, yeah, no parts required. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and you've found it informative. Comments and questions, no fuss, always like to hear what you have to say. I will catch up with you soon. Cheers for now.